AJ, are you claiming, as reported in the media, at your public seminars and on the Divine Truth website, that you are Jesus from the first century?
Yes, that's exactly what I am claiming, that I am Jesus from the first century, that I've had a single life, a life that began in the first century and that ends currently at present, which is today, the 30th, I think it is today, the 30th of October 2012. But the reality is that I've had a life that entire time, so I don't claim that I am the reincarnation of somebody who existed 2,000 years ago, but rather somebody who has existed for 2,000 years.
How do you know that you are Jesus?
Well, my answer to that question is exactly the same way that anybody would know that they are the person they claim to be. And that is that you have a series of memories that describe your entire life from the time shortly after you were born to your present time. And for me, it's exactly the same thing. I have a series of memories. It's just a longer series of memories than the average person has, that goes on for a 2,000-year period, from the time shortly after my birth that I remember in the first century right the way through until today. And so for me, the way that I know that I'm Jesus is I have a memory of that entire life. For anybody else looking at me, well, that's different, because they don't know what I remember, and most people have never questioned me about what I remember. And so, of course, it's a very different way of analysing whether I'm Jesus or not if you're looking from an observer's perspective. But from my perspective, I can remember my life, and so I know who I am.
Okay, I'm confused.
It has been said by the media that you are the leader of one of the world's most chilling cults. What do you say to this?
Well, if talking about love and talking about truth and being a humble person makes you chilling, then I'm chilling. But I would have to question why a person believes that somebody who talks about love and truth and humility is chilling. Like, that in itself is chilling. Why would they believe such a thing? Like, I can't understand how people can label me as chilling when I'm one of the most, like, easy to get along with, loving persons they could ever meet. And I certainly don't try to harm anybody or damage anybody or do anything harmful to somebody. So why would they believe that I'm chilling? My suggestion is the only reason why the media has said such things, because only the media has ever said such things to me, is because they want ratings and they want people to go into their fear, and the way they manipulate ratings is to have people afraid so lots more people will watch what they're presenting. And the reality is, many of these lie-based media reports about me, which I've commented about on our own website. I've listed many of the lies that the media has presented about us on our website for anybody to examine if they truly want to know the truth. These lie-based reports are all just a fabrication to manipulate people into believing something that will cause them to watch telly more so that the media outlets can get more advertising. It's a complete distortion of the truth and a manipulation of the truth in order to get more money out of people. And if I was the average person, particularly in Australia, but any member of the public, I'd be questioning severely their underlying motive, because the reality is all I do is travel around the world at the invitation of others and share with them what I believe about love, truth and humility. That's what I do. If that's chilling to you, then I would suggest that you've got some major fear-based issues that you need to work through.
Jesus, I love what you say about the media. And You seem like a chilling kind of guy to me. You're just hanging out. You're just chilling, preaching the word of love and truth and all that good stuff. And you'd be chilling, buddy. You'd be chilling, brother. Chilling.
On Wikipedia, under cult religious practice, it states in the first few lines, in traditional usage, the cult of a religion, quite apart from its sacred writings, scriptures, its theology or myths, or the personal faith of its believers, is the totality of external religious practice and its observance, the neglect of which is the definition of impiety. Cult, in this primary sense, is literally the care owed to the god and the shrine. Do you feel that care is owed to God?
Well, firstly, if I could point out that the word cult comes from the Latin cultus, and which actually literally means care. So the suggestion is that that all religions need to care for the way in which they worship God, and if they don't care for it, they don't have enough piety, and therefore, you know, that they are not properly observing that particular religion. So it's interesting, the underlying word that the word cult comes from is implying that God needs to be cared for. And the reality is that God does not need to be cared for. God is self-caring and self-responsible, and God does not need to be cared for, and God isn't seeking our worship. There is this common viewpoint on the planet, I feel, that God is seeking worship, and God does not seek worship. God knows herself very well and knows her value, and she doesn't need us to support her value or to make her feel better about herself than she already feels. And in fact, the underlying word of cult is implying that. Now, if you look at how the word is used today, word is often applied to a cult leader, of which I'm often associated with being one. And if you look at the underlying thing, again, it's like, does a person, one single person, need to be cared for and honoured above all others? And the answer to that is also no. Any person who has any degree of self-responsibility and who has any degree of love for themselves does not need to be cared for by any other person, and so therefore does not need to be worshipped and does not need to be even listened to. God doesn't have an investment in us listening to God, and any person who is an appropriate spiritual leader would also not have any investment in another person and listening to them. Yep. By appropriate spiritual leader, I mean a spiritual leader who is not invested in other people's opinion of them and who is just interested in telling the truth. Yeah. Praying for Jesus with their words, their feelings are actually that they want a connection with God. So remember that it's the feelings that connect you with a person or with God. So if they're praying to Jesus with the words but actually having a feeling they want to connect with God, then often, you know, they're connecting directly with God. When people are praying to me, they're often praying to me because they don't connect with God. They feel they can't connect with God, and they feel a bit more rapport with me rather than with God. And so generally, yes, I do try and respond to that. In the spirit world, I also responded to that as much as I could. But obviously, when you've got hundreds of thousands or even millions of people doing that at once, you can't respond to every person. So the person with the strongest desire generally was the person I'd respond to. Yeah.
So there's no another Jesus around?
No, well, there's literally hundreds of thousands of people in the spirit world who respond to those prayers, saying they're Jesus. Yeah. So there's plenty of people who falsify that they are for lots of different reasons, because it gives them a feeling of power or importance, or it gives them a feeling of rapport with somebody on earth that they want, or and most of them are in the first sphere. They're in the first sphere or in the hells, responding, and I find it really interesting. Sometimes people say, "Oh, but Jesus said to me such and such and such and such," and if you hear the words of what Jesus said, a lot of times it's actually very unloving what he said, right? And that's a good indication that you're not connecting to Jesus. You just think you are, and it's actually someone else you're talking to, another spirit. And that's happening all the time. There's literally hundreds of thousands of people in the spirit world who respond to a person on earth and claim they're Jesus so that they can have a rapport with the person on earth.
Okay, Jesus, I really want to connect with you. You, the one in the little button-up shirt and the collar, the really nice teeth. You. I want to connect with you. So, I know a lot of people have a lot of desires out there, and they pray. So, I would like to ask everybody to bow your heads. Bow your head. I'm watching you. Bow your head. Bow your head. Okay. Here we go. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all have Porsches, and I must make amends. I worked hard all my lifetime, no help from my friends. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Amen. It's a test. I'll let you know if I get that Mercedes-Benz. You let me know if you get one, if you participated in that prayer.
People often accuse AJ of claiming and convincing you that you are Mary Magdalene because you're young and pretty. How do you respond to these accusations?
Yeah, there's a lot I'd like to say about this, because it's something